Then with that, we shall begin. Good evening, everybody. This is the regular board meeting of January 22nd, 2024. The Board of Park District Commissioners for the Lake Bluff Park District here in Lake County, Illinois. May I please have roll call, Marcia, on Zoom?
Sure. Commissioner Greenfield.
Here.
Commissioner Lane.
Here.
Commissioner Raymore.
Here.
Commissioner Reeder.
Here.
Commissioner Walsh.
Here.
Commissioner Weber. President Beeler.
Here. Next up on our agenda for this evening is the approval of the agenda. May I have a motion to approve? So moved. Second. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Greenfield.
Yes.
Commissioner Lane.
Yes.
Commissioner Raymore.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeder.
Yes.
Commissioner Walsh.
Yes.
President Beeler.
Yes. Next, we have our statement of visitors. This permits everyone who is either here in the rec center or who may be participating with our meeting via Zoom to have the opportunity to address the board about any matter which touches on the park district. Statement of visitors would be up to 3 minutes. And I do not have anybody who's present here to make a statement. Is there anybody, Jeff, on Zoom who would like to address the board?
There are no comments on Zoom.
Thank you. Moving on, we have our consent agenda. Consent agenda is comprised of 3 items tonight. First is the approval of minutes from December 18th, 2023 from the regular board meeting. The invoice schedule of VCH payables for the period of December 13th, 2023 through January 16th, 2024, and the purchase card ratification. From the board, any comments, questions?
I just had a couple questions.
Yeah.
On page 19, I'm just curious, there's 2 charges for the fob. Did like 6 new fob readers for 8,600 and a fob down payment. Can you remind me what the fob is?
That was the key fob for the doors, the newer ones that were done for the what was it, the administrative or the office, the front office?
The gym.
In the gym,
In the gymnasium?
for the preschool.
Okay, so the actual locking mechanism.
Yes, that's having.
It seemed like $1,500 a piece. Seemed
Yeah,
like
not
that.
for the little fob itself, but the actual mechanism and wiring and everything.
And how about $2,000 for paddle balls? Is that typical?
Well,
Yes.
Mark, is that for the full year? How many
Yeah,
is that?
that's about 13 cases and those were on the cheap end for us.
Do we supply them? I mean, all the other paddle sports, they supply their own, correct? But for paddle, it's different?
It's part of their membership fees.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Just curious. Thanks.
Yeah.
Anything further? May I have a motion then to approve consent agenda items A through C?
So moved.
Second. Roll call. May I have a roll call, please?
Marcia's on mute.
It's been a while. Sorry. Commissioner Greenfield.
Yes.
Commissioner Lane.
Yes.
Commissioner Raymore.
Yes.
Commissioner Reeder.
Yes.
Commissioner Walsh.
Yes.
President Beeler.
Yes. Next on our agenda is finance with our financial report to date in summary form. And to John, I believe you can have
Yes, let me just get to the page.
23.
Yes, page 23. See the memo prepared by Rich, who's again acting as our interim finance consultant. Continues with some charts over the next few pages. Page 27.
John, maybe I'm missing something, but I was confused a little bit by some of the numbers on page 23. You've got the year-to-date for 23. Revenues is just under 6.3 million. And expenses of just a little bit higher, also just under 6.3 million. And those are not, that's not what we have in the commentary later on for 2023. And we have the revenues,
Yeah, it's like a 6 was replaced with a 4. Right? Roughly, or close.
but operating expenses
We're only 4 point.
are
Well, but
significantly.
That's the operating expenses versus the capital, or I'm sorry, the debt service payments. They're broken up two different ways, whereas in the summary, it's consolidated.
So the expense is debt plus.
Yeah, probably get some clarification for you and send that out tomorrow.
Yeah, but Paul, to your point, when you add up those two numbers, they still equal 5.82, which is, excuse me, less than what Rich has on there, so I agree, they do not quite add up.
Adding the operating expenses and the capital and debt expenses, you come to just over 5.8 million.
Right.
Yeah. So that number. I'm sorry, I was adding, I apologize.
That's all right, yeah, it doesn't quite jive, so let's just revisit that.
Yeah, I can clarify this tomorrow and send that out to all the commissioners.
So that's with the clarification of the operating expenses, or, excuse me, the operating and debt expenses.
Yeah, the budgeted expenses number on page 23.
And something on page 27, payments going to be dispersed in 2024. not 2023. Was there anything further?
No,
No? Okay. So. Yeah, I have a motion then to accept the financial reports with the corrections as mentioned.
So moved.
second,
May I have a roll call, please, Martha?
Commissioner Greenfield,
yes.
Commissioner Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner Raymore,
Yes.
Commissioner Reader,
Yes.
Commissioner Walsh,
Yes.
Commissioner Weber,
Yes.
and President Beeler.
Yes. Under verbal communications, President's report, I'm going to save mine till, or excuse me, I'll comment later on in the new business, so nothing to report from me, staff.
Don't have much to report on at this time. We're gonna say most of it to talk about during the presentation. So you know we have a few of our staff here this evening to present some information in the specific areas. As I mentioned earlier, we do have Rich Rothman back as a interim doing some finance consulting for us right now. For HR, we're also working with HR Source. We have an interim HR person who's working with us a couple of days a week right now as we are doing that search for a new person. Just a couple of other things, we do have a phone app, and Jim, I want to touch on that. I didn't, so I just threw that in my report to bring that to your attention. And then the Illinois Association of Park District Conference is coming up later this week in Chicago, so that will be on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So myself and several of the staff will be attending that and gathering good information and bringing it back, putting it to work for the Parks District. So Jim, if you want to touch just quickly on that phone app.
Yeah, first I'd like to, for those that have not met Ben Ellert, this is Ben Ellert. He has been promoted to maintenance manager. So he and I will be working together with the maintenance team. So we've kind of combined the maintenance team from park and facility maintenance as just one team now. So Ben Ellert. The phone app. So just to give a little bit of where we're at with it. Right now, it's in development. Right before Christmas, we finally got the approval from Apple that we were a nonprofit and that we weren't going to be charged additional fees. And then we had to sign off on a couple other different things. It took a while. It was a little challenging with working with Apple, but now that Google Play was 2 days, Apple was like a month and a half. But two different companies, and they have a lot of hoops sometimes you have to jump through. Now it's in the hands of ActiveNet, so it's with their development team. They have all the information that they need to work on, and once, I'm hoping within like a week to 2 weeks, they're going to come back and say, okay, now you can test it. And then from there, guest services, myself and Jeff Spillman, we have to go through all of the classes, courses, everything that we want on there to start off, we have to toggle and turn on. And then we'll have a few people that we're going to handpick just to help look at it, at the design, just to kind of see, how it functions. And then we'll introduce it to the public. We want this for sure ready to go for spring and summer programs. We're hoping timeline, if they come back in 2 weeks, I think that's like worst case scenario. Probably another week and a half to 2 weeks just to test it, and then we'll be good to go sometime in February. So any questions? Okay.
It's a good thing.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
And I would just say with Jim introducing Ben, we've gone through some changes in the maintenance department in staffing with a retirement and another one leaving, and we've made kind of some quick changes with Ben being promoted to this manager position, and then another person, Robert, who was a full-time employee, being promoted to foreman. And I have to say, I've really received a lot of positive feedback about how the maintenance team is operating right now, how well it's working here in the building, and work orders are getting filled on time, and just it's really come together pretty well. So I'd say hats off to Ben for doing a good job.
Good, and keeping everybody warm, I hear as well.
Right.
Good heaters and things like that.
Yes.
Okay, good, thank you. Anything else from staff?
No, that's it.
That's it, okay, our attorney is not with us tonight.
I have a question for staff.
Please.
For the enrollments for like gymnastics and tumbling and dance, just like curious, because there's like the 5-star little hitters that only had one. Was that canceled or was that? I mean, some say canceled, but then there's that one that has one.
There were a couple that were blank too that I noticed on there.
Well, that one has one. And
Okay, but there were some that were just on
Yeah.
blank, so I didn't know what that meant either.
yeah, so just kind of what the cutoff is, because is that supposed to be like 110 recovery, right? Cost recovery? For purpose.
Question again?
For the one, is that?
Oh, no, we wouldn't have run it with just one. I think that was that was the enrollment number at that point. So the class either didn't start or like at this point, it's been canceled like since the report was made.
We won't run a program if it's gonna cost the park district money.
Usually
Okay,
it's
we won't.
like 4 to 6.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that meant, so just basically the enrollment at the time, which wasn't necessarily finished yet, you know, when the report was done. And it would be, if it didn't increase, then it would be canceled.
And so the ones that didn't have were like 0 then, if it didn't have a number, and then those would have been canceled too. Okay, great, thanks.
I have a question on page 9, about the community survey regarding pickleball. Was that questionnaire that went out, was that regarding indoor pickleball or outdoor pickleball or both?
So that is, regarding both, it was kind of a joint venture with, the city of Lake Forest. And as they're developing new courts, and we're just trying to seek more feedback to get, I guess, find out information about the interest level from our residents and where they want to play, and if they're interested in, what, you know, leagues or programming and other information. The, deadline for that is tomorrow. And we've received a lot of responses. It's been very, very,
Do you have ballpark, any idea how many responses you've received?
I believe it's more than 300,
Okay.
many of which came in the first hour that it went out. So
Yeah.
it's pretty quick response.
Did you send it to the park district? Who did you send it to everybody on the?
We send it to everybody on our contact list, or constant contact list, you know, which is more than 5,000. We've also sent it to everybody who had a pickleball membership, signed up for a pickleball program or lesson, anything pickleball related with the park district. And so it's been sent out to a lot of people.
Great, great. No, I got one. Did everybody get it? I think I got it.
I did.
I received one, I did not.
Yes, I was gonna say, we put in the newsletter as well on
Yeah.
Friday.
I couldn't answer some of the questions.
And there were a number of people who played open play on the weekend who left their email with Carol at the front desk.
I got that note from Carol. I emailed out to, a couple of those today to get those people that weren't on our list. So they should have got it.
Glad that there's interest, but. Anything else? Okay. As I said, the attorney report, finance administration and future planning committee. Scott?
We have not met since the last board meeting, formally. John and I had just an impromptu conversation that turned into, a longer conversation just about staffing and challenges surrounding staffing in general. And so he outlined that in his executive director report, but I did want to, talk about it, that we've all found it to be challenging over the past, really 2 years of hiring and retaining staff. It's challenging for us as a small community to compete with some of our larger, surrounding communities and be competitive. So just, I think, thinking creatively about those solutions is gonna, I think, really make everyone's lives a lot easier. So, more to come probably.
Parks and Beach Committee, we have not met since the last report, but we probably are due soon to be meeting. Facilities and Program Committee.
We are planning to meet next month, and so we're deciding on the date and the time.
Okay.
Let you know.
TBD. Health Committee.
We have not met since our last meeting. We're going to be scheduling a meeting in February.
Friends of Lake Bluff Parks.
Okay, so we have a couple of slides in the deck tonight that we'll be talking about as far as kind of what we did in 2023. But for tonight's meeting, so we met at 5 o'clock right before this meeting. 4 new trustees joined the board, which is excellent. 4 really wonderful, committed, experienced professional people. So very excited about that. We voted on a couple things tonight. The first one was to reimburse the park district for a drinking fountain that was recently installed in the fitness area, right? It's drinking
Correct.
fountain and a water
Auto fill.
station.
Yeah.
So that's about $1,500.
Well, they have 1,400 in their fund, and this was 1,247, and just under
Yeah.
$1,250.
Okay. So that was voted on tonight, as well as really having a discussion about the 100th anniversary. And so the Friends were officially formed a capital campaign committee. And 5 of the trustees volunteered to be on that committee. And one of the trustees volunteered to chair the committee. So they'll be starting to structure what that's going to look like in anticipation of the anniversary and the campaign to follow. So there'll be a lot more to talk about as it pertains to that. That committee of trustees is also going to be seeking plenty of community members to join. It doesn't just have to be Friends members that are part of that committee. So more to come on that.
And who's chairing?
It's actually one of the brand new trustees.
Oh.
Agreed to chair it. Her name is Carrie Tracy.
We'll do some sort of acknowledgement in our newsletter or whatever we get posting to say thank you to the Friends for the bottle fill.
Yes.
The water fountain.
Was that for 2 or for 1?
So we installed 2. We put one in the gymnasium and one in the fitness area. They had $1,400 in fitness funds, so that covers one.
That's 1 fountain.
That's
Okay.
one pattern,
Or-
yeah, that's in that area, so, yeah. And they liked it, it's environmentally friendly, you know, by being able to fill your bottles and well received. The chiller went out on the old fountain, so it was, and the Friends were pretty, you know, excited about doing it. I believe they also purchased the one that's in the golf clubhouse as well, a few years ago.
So I think those are nice things for the Friends to do because we can, I don't know if we were joking or not, but put a plaque, you know, saying, I don't know if it was joking, but you know, something, in right, so that's more like advertising, you know, for the Friends, like, what is the Friends? You're filling up your water bottle, you look at the plaque, what's the Friends, you know, kind of a thing. So I think just placement and, you know, all of that, I think it's a great, even though it's a little investment, I think it's one of those great little investments to say, you know, the Friends did this, and these are the ways we contribute, so.
Bill? Thank you, man. Sue, anything new from Lobola?
Not much. We have a preliminary approval of a grant for the Prairie Preserve, which is adjacent to the golf course. So more will come on that. But that's kind of exciting. That's for the Audubon Society trying to make it a bird-friendly location, which is cool. It would be helping getting invasives out, which a lot have been removed in the last couple of years, and planting bird-friendly.
Is that along 176?
No, it's right along, back in Belforet and
Oh.
it's adjacent to the south, up there north. And so we'll talk, because we're gonna be, one of the things that this grant will do is outreach to the neighbors. And the golf course is a neighbor, so that'll be good. And then on Saturday, the board went out to Getz Wetland and we did a pretty good job of burning down the cattails. You know, we had them killed a couple years ago and they sink into the water and make it kind of putrid as they're degrading. So we got rid of a lot of the biomass by burning it off. It's kind of fun out there, trooping around. So, yeah,
In the cold.
in the cold, it's cold.
Impressive. Commissioner comments?
Yeah, I want to say that the open house I attended it. I don't know if anybody else attended it. Was fantastic. I brought my husband along because, you know, just to get him back here at the fitness center, and he had a great time. There was a lot of people. There was a nice setup with the tables for refreshments, just people socializing. I did the yoga class at 8:30 with Michelle, so she mentioned the burning. And yeah, I thought it seemed like it was a really good thing. I'm curious to see what the staff has to say about numbers and open house.
Yeah, I think it turned out pretty positive as well. A lot of members were there, were happy to see free coffee. So we had some bagels out. Heinz came in and they gave out bananas and some supplements. So overall, everyone was pretty happy for the day. In that short amount of time, we had about 6 memberships sign up. And then we had about 15 people come through to take a look at the facility. So I think overall, it was pretty positive.
How many trial passes or daily passes did you hand out?
For the daily passes, we did about 100 passes to the basketball families leaving in hopes that they'll come back and try the facility.
That's great. It's really good. Okay, then on to new business. What we have for this evening is 2023 year in review, as well as looking forward to 2024. And I really want to say this is a collaborative effort by everybody, from staff, everybody who's here tonight, as well as all the commissioners, because this is a great way to reflect on what we've been able to accomplish in the past year and kind of use this as a benchmark as we're moving forward. So Jeff, do I just obnoxiously say each time next slide? I guess I say next slide. Okay.
Yes, please.
I shall do that then. This is our Board of Commissioners. Again, we are an elected board of 7, with 3 and 4 as we rotate throughout the years or the electoral years. I have to say, we're in a very fortunate community, but as a commissioner, I look back on this and say we work for everybody's joy and their well-being and their mental health. And we're very fortunate that we're able to serve in that kind of capacity. So, you know, just we said the other day about people coming through, marking that many daily passes that you hand out. When you look at open gym, when you look at preschool, when you look at what we're able to provide as a community, I feel very fortunate that we are elected in this role and we're able to provide that service for our community. Next slide, please. Okay, and this is, again, we're going into our mission. Again, it's responsible stewards of our community. We enhance the community through recreational experiences, fun, safe, and healthy environment. Next slide, please. And excuse me, this is always where we are different from other entities or agencies within Lake Bluff. We expand beyond the village of Lake Bluff. We incorporate North Knollwood as well. Parts of North Chicago, with over 10,000 residents that we serve in these 3 different areas. What's amazing is that we offer over 400 programs, and it's from cradle to grave, from infant to senior. We offer the full panoply of different kinds of programs for different people, and those covers are just some examples of the amount of programming that's put forward into the community. Tiny community, but pretty mighty in what we're able to offer because we have a recreation center. We have a paddle port as well as paddle hut or recreational area plus multiple ports. We have a sledding hill, which finally got put to use. We have an ice skating pond, which got used as well. With a warming hut, we have a phenomenal preschool that we offer, 7 baseball diamonds, an aquatic center, a golf course and clubhouse, 12 parks, and of course, the pinnacle of it all, Sunrise Beach and Bluff. Next slide. We do have to thank our non-for-profit partners. It's amazing. Jim Lakeman had compiled a list, and we have over 40 nonprofit partners that assist us with offering all these services for the park district. Anything from the city of Lake Forest and obviously the village of Lake Bluff to newcomers, to League of Women Voters, Indian Princesses and Indian Guides, youth baseball, yacht club. These are all of our partners that work hand in hand with us. Community churches, PTOs. It's amazing the amount of people who work with the park district to make us as well-rounded and offer as many programs as we do. Next slide. And then of course our nonprofit, or excuse me, our for-profit, I should say, Golf Visions, Stepping Up North Shore Academy, New Vision, Avid Navi, Elko, and Mesquite Productions. Mesquite Productions, if everybody remembers, took over the parking lot and used it for filming and paid us generously for the opportunity to do that. And nobody got to be in the film, right? Again, small but mighty. With these kind of numbers that our executive director, John Beeler, provided, it's incredible what we're able to do. 14 full-time staff. That's all that's there, 14 full-time staff throughout the year. During the winter, 103 part-time staff. are on board, but then during the summer, it swells to 260 people. That's a lot of hiring, and I know that Jim and his crew go through all of this with getting the summer together. It's just amazing what this staff is able to accomplish. And again, thank you to Dana, to Ben, to Jim, to Mark, to Ben again. And Nikki Bullocks as well, for being the managers and the directors that they are and providing all of this to staff. Next. All right, so what I will do now is turn it over to our staff who are with us here tonight to talk about some of the highlights of 2023.
Why don't we start with Dana?
Sure, please.
Okay, so we had a wonderful, successful year. Our goal is to get families to get together and have a sense of community, opportunities to be together, to socialize. So we have created a new program that gets the dads together and the moms together. The dads is kind of in progress, but moms night outs once a month. We have had our third family sing-along movie night, which is a fundraiser. We did The Grinch, and we had Mr. Worthen from the elementary school help us sing carols. That's well attended by all of our families. We had our 10th year decorating the village Christmas tree. That is always fun. We always create our own ornaments, and then after the season's over, we return them to the families, and those are cherished and beloved for eternity. We've had our, we are going into our 8th fundraiser family fun event this year. This is our 8th year of having this giant party that we have in the gym, and the entire community is invited, and we raise a lot of money, but mostly importantly, that we get the community together to enjoy our resources that we have here. Have some rides, play some games, have some candy, and just have a great day with us. So that's really important for us to serve our community in that way. And then finally, we had a fabulous summer. We ran summer camps at full capacity throughout the entire summer, and it was a very safe, well-run program, and we, knock on wood, had no issues. So all in all, it was a great 23.
Good, thank you.
Any questions?
I will state again, because Jim, again, found some information. We do have a scholarship that's offered for preschool. The Shepherd family very generously donated money that had been in reserve for something else, but if anyone knows of or can think of a family that would benefit from being part of the Lake Bluff preschool, there's funds available to be able to.
Thank you for mentioning that. We offer one for one Lake Bluff family and one for a military family each year.
Okay, good, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
And Dana, does that pay for it all? For the whole?
It pays for
$1,000.
$1,000. Okay.
There's no other questions for Dana. I'm going to turn it over to Ben White, who's a recreation manager.
Yeah, so it's been a fun year so far for me. As all of you know, I'm new to the park district. Really excited to bring back some new events and programming over the last year. We managed to bring back the Santa Sleigh Ride event, which is our Christmas trolley tour around town. We had over 260 enrolled for that event, so we're excited to bring it back and also kind of expand on the amount of kids and parents that we were able to serve with that particular event. We had the return for our archery program, which we brought it back and we brought it indoors so that we didn't have to compete with weather and things like that. So really excited to have that kind of unique niche program back offered in the community. And then some of our other larger programs, such as ARC, we're sitting pretty well at average about 74 kids per session. So that's 74 kids across any given day in the program. So we're really happy to be able to support families in that way after school. And also with our youth basketball program, we had we had a pretty solid increase from last year in terms of enrollment across our preschool through 8th grade players. So we're happy to see that program building. That one's the partnership with the city of Lake Forest as well. So it's been great getting to know some of the families from next door also, and working with some of those rec professionals as well. But yeah, overall, it's been a really great year. Excited to get to know a lot of the board, a lot of the staff and community members, and starting to yeah, do more and do what I can for the community.
And one thing I would just mention too, for, as long as you're talking about the special day, when school, was closed due to the inclement weather, they were able to pull together enough staff and open up for short notice, a special day and help a number of families that just needed somewhere for their kids to go.
Great.
So you did a great job with that.
Thanks.
Do you have a perspective on the increase in basketball enrollment? That just more young families or?
We had, as of right now, we have 182 players in the program, and last year we had 166. So that one seems like it's slowly been inching up, but we had almost 30 enrolled in our preschool basketball program. So we're really excited to see that, and hopefully that age group keeps growing throughout the next couple of years.
And there does seem to be a correlation that, with what the school district is also experiencing with the young families, the growth in that area.
Thanks.
And you talk about hiring for summer, Dana and Ben both have already begun that process for the summer, and pretty much they have their managers already hired for the summer, and it's only January. So that's we're really happy to have that happen, because if we can get them on board, then we can start planning and we can start introducing what the program is going to look like. So they've done a phenomenal job with camp already. When we get to
Credit to both of you and to everybody on staff that, I'm assuming these are people that have worked here before.
Yeah.
That they want to come back year
Yeah.
after year. That's really great.
We get college comes back. I mean, it's insane. We had CITs and they follow us all the way to the end, so. Until they have to do an internship, and then we lose them.
And then you lose them.
Then we lose them.
Yeah.
Well, great. If there's no other questions for Ben, I'll turn it over to Mark.
Yeah, so for fitness, I can report that memberships are increasing, which is good. We did see a pretty big increase for group X attendance, and that's up about 40% from last year. So it's roughly averaging about 140 more per month attending the classes. We also reinstated the hand towel service, so that's been going over really well with members. We did do we launched a fitness center membership geared towards students. So this is a long-term plans and annual student pass. So that's also been a pretty good highlight for the year. With racket sports, we did go to the max for men's teams. We're at 13. So the last couple of years, we've been adding another team. Each team is about 10 to 12 participants. So those numbers are going up. We did offer well, I should say we created a pickleball membership. That way it gives residents the ability to rent the paddle hut. You can reserve courts, and then it would also cover your drop-in play for indoor pickleball. And for aquatics, we didn't skip a beat. We were able to stay open at pool and beach when there was a national lifeguard shortage. So that was pretty promising. We did grow the private lessons. We took in about 250 private lessons over the year. And yeah, those are the highlights for my areas. Any questions?
Why do you think Group X grew by 40%? New classes, new teachers?
All the above, yes. We had a few new instructors that came on. Attendance was up also, I think, with memberships, people starting to feel comfortable coming back. So we did see an increase.
Yeah,
I would
there's a couple new instructors. There's Sam, who's like really awesome in the morning, who does strength class. And then there's Jill, who's a new yoga instructor. She's kind of spicy and different from the other yoga instructors. And then Julie is back to teach Pilates. So there's definitely a greater variety of instructors now.
Oh, and you had said you're the senior Silverfoot.
Oh, and Silverfit's like
I
always
heard
sold
his
out.
stuff.
It's always like 19, 18, 19, like with Ron, he's amazing. He's like amazing. Yeah, it's really impressive to see because it's like really cool to see just people just together working out and the class is completely full. And you're like, wow, that's so cool. Because the Silverfit's the older group and it's really cool to see. It's just gotten bigger and bigger. So he's done a really he's a great fit. And really helping the program. And I think that's what it takes is those people, the instructors and the personal trainers make a difference.
People follow the instructors.
Yeah.
It was apprehensive. Oh, sorry, good job.
No, I was just saying people follow the instructors, like, if someone leaves, then all of a sudden, it's hard.
And I was gonna comment, and he was very apprehensive when he first came on with us. His background was personal training. We said, Ron, we think you'd be great at teaching classes. And, he was on the fence and he got into it and I mean, it's just really taken off. And so members love him. And I will also comment in 2 years, he's never called in sick once. So he's been a blessing. And he's on 3 days a week. So I wish I could, make 3 more of him or something.
And you want to talk about your recent hire?
Yep, so Kenneth Tolliver has been promoted to fitness center supervisor. He has been with us for a little bit over 2 years. You might have seen him in the morning. He opens the facility Tuesdays and Thursdays. He brings a nice background with personal training and group fitness. So he's going to be a good fit for this role.
And one other thing I would say, Mark and I attended a pickleball regional meeting at the Glenview Park District, and they had directors and rec staff. And it was a really good forum where we were able to just talk about, the sound challenges and that's happening in all the communities, league play, tournaments, doing some kind of league similar to like the paddle league, where amongst different communities. And so it was just very very good information. Mark's I think volunteered to be involved with that committee and schedule the next meeting. So I think that's going to be beneficial for us.
Well, thank you.
Now, without my rec staff here, they couldn't do their programs without maintenance. And I have to say, Ben Eller, just a short period of time with this team has dealt with a lot of different projects.
Yeah.
From the window projects that to help keep Ben, myself, and Nikki warm, to even the preschool. We lost heat in 2 of the classrooms.
Sewage problem.
And the sewage problem we had, and all this like in 2 months. And Ben's team has really done a tremendous job for just a small group of them, just to keep things running here at the Park District.
And they did a really good job, the company that did the windows and the brick it looks really nice.
Yeah, if you want to take a tour, I have to laugh because, when I started, we let Jim's office, that's why he's happy, because he's warm now.
Not sitting back here, it's not warm.
His office would literally be under 50 degrees on these cold mornings when you come in, just the heat wasn't keeping up with it. And former employees told me it was this reason and that reason. So we budgeted to do the windows in 3 offices. That made a big difference. But it was less of a difference in gyms than the other 2. And as we found out, there were some other issues going on. We talked about, installing maybe like a wall mounted heater, and Jim had 2 space heaters going on. And so we talked about that, and it was installed the next day by noon by the staff, who picked it up, installed a wall mounted heater. And just a combination of windows and the heater, his office is much better, and it's just, we're seeing a lot of improvements like that within the building, so. Hats off to the maintenance team, they're doing a great job.
Thank you very much, and because you have a wide amount of acreage to cover. So you are all over the place, and especially the ice skating rink.
Yeah,
That's an early morning,
they're doing that, they're plowing snow,
yeah,
yeah, we're busy.
they are. Anything else thank you so much, staff, that everybody's here tonight for doing what you do and doing it well. This was really a wonderful hallmark of 2023. Little did we know we were a secret beach, but we are. Number 54 out of 100 of the best secret beaches in the US. So that was a nice note to have us recognized in that way. And next slide, please. We'll go into our budget highlights, and Scott Weber, as chair of the finance committee, will discuss this.
Well, thank you, Jennifer, and thank you for compiling all of this for us. The lift on our end was significantly less than I think any of us had expected. So I appreciate you putting the extra time and putting all this comprehensive report together.
You're welcome. If you're not complaining about my graphics, we're good.
Absolutely.
I like your graphics.
Absolutely. No, just a couple, kind of touch points. Well, I think we all kind of know that it's been a challenge to budget like accurately, since 2020. We try to, I think, all err on the side of caution when putting these together with sources of optimism. But this past year, it's nice to kind of be on top and bottom line, which is always nice. One of the things that I mentioned it earlier is just staffing challenges, just looking at the numbers of participants in art or in the gym space, pickleball and paddle, all those numbers are going up significantly, but our staff isn't. So it's a strain. And while it's, good from a financial standpoint, we want to make sure that we have the appropriate staff on hand to make sure that the community experience is top notch. Because there are alternatives out there, and if we don't provide that, people will go elsewhere. So, the one at the bottom right was December of 22, but I threw it in here because it speaks to what we've all kind of done with the golf course. It's been a subject of a lot of consternation from the people of the community and the board itself, and so we took those steps to kind of shore up those finances and the operation of the golf course, and the rating agencies rewarded us for that. So that will help us as we address our larger issues, potentially with pool and the beach, have to go to the capital markets to finance those projects. So anytime we can see the outlook go positive, that's usually one step away from an upgrade, which means we'll be able to borrow at lower rates for these projects. So a good job by staff and the board as well. Next slide. Yeah, some of the budget goals that we have this year, we are, I guess, the finance and future planning committee. So, the biggest thing that we have on our plate is we are definitely hamstrung with the ability to finance any large capital projects right now. So we have to make sure that the ones that we have roadmap are the ones that we actually need to pursue and come up with the appropriate ways to actually finance those projects. So it's working kind of hand in hand with staff to identify the ones that are necessary and the ones that can be kind of either band-aided for a little bit or just kind of solved with other alternative needs. And we need to figure out what those projects are and how we're really going to pay for them. So again, it's just work with staff to identify those, working with our bankers at Piper Sandler to make sure that we have the appropriate headroom to take on some of these projects themselves. Yeah, and that's part of bullet point number 2, which is kind of developing that long-term financing plan of how we're going to make all this happen, because we're not all going to be sitting in these seats as commissioners. And so it would be nice to just kind of hand off the playbook for people in the future. Um, and I did allude to it a little bit earlier as well, but just, kind of reviewing the organizational structure and efficiency. I think this is an awesome opportunity for us as a board really, and John, for you to really shape the future of the Lake Bluff Park District, and not be, constantly searching for, more people to come, fill in spots. Let's try to, think creatively and realize that, hey, maybe not every position that we currently have is a full-time position. Maybe there's some overlap between positions. Personally, I wear lots of different hats in my, my current job. And people ask me what I do for a living. It's like, I put out fires, but the reality is you kind of wear a whole bunch of different hats. But if you kind of have, in my mind, from an organizational perspective, if you have kind of clear delineation between departments, between roles, then you can optimize efficiency for everyone here while maintaining that high level of standard that really everyone in the community has come to expect. Those are really the, kind of two big ones, exploring alternative revenue sources, that kind of rolls up into long-term funding strategy. Again, thinking, trying to think creatively about how we're going to address the larger ticket items that we have facing us here as a park district. There is grant money out there at the state and federal level, but it takes a lot of work on behalf of John and grant writers to actually make this stuff happen. So we dipped our toe in the water last year, and I think we learned a fair amount. So let's take those lessons and throw our hat in the ring again in 2024 and beyond.
Especially in the year of inflation. We did comfortably well last year, so that was good.
That's it.
Any questions for Scott? No, thank you very much. Then on to golf club highlights for 2023, especially with the new committee.
With the new committee, and it's made a big difference. Now, first off, I have to say, we really have a great partner in golf, and they have really committed themselves to doing a good job running the club. As I've said before, people play golf so that they have something to complain about. And so we're going to get complaints, and that's just the nature of the beast. But you hear very few complaints about golf and the management job they're doing at the course. That everything is in good shape. People enjoy playing there, and that can be seen in the fact that this past year we had just under 29,000 rounds of golf played, which is very high, 7% over the prior year. And I think it was in an average weather year. It wasn't a great weather year. Wasn't terrible, probably pretty average. So I think when we look at numbers like that, we're looking at a lot of people playing on the golf course. A little bit more important to us, perhaps, is that we had a 20% increase in revenue prior. And that comes mainly from the food and beverage operations, which Golf Vision, again, Golf Visions did a good job in introducing new things, doing a better job, getting people to want to go there and have a burger or a beer or whatever. And for us, for the park district, that means that we earned about just under $109,000 from the operation. 43% above 22. Part of that from the higher revenue sharing that we had. Now, it's interesting to note that if we have the same revenue level this year that we had last year, our revenue sharing goes from 12% of revenue above 800,000 to 17%, and our fixed revenue from the club is $50,000, up from 40,000. So the same revenue, if we were to achieve, if the golf course were to achieve the same revenue this year, that would mean just about $150,000 in revenue to the park district. And again, that's a risk-free, essentially a risk-free $150,000. If things go bad, if it rains all summer, we don't get to play, we won't make as much money, but we don't have the risk of losing money. So I think we've really turned that around quite dramatically, and again, you know, Golf Visions has really done a good job. We started some programs with juniors, which I think were very successful. We're planning on having 2 introduction to golf programs for kids this summer, up from 1. It was at capacity last summer. Junior Golf League will have things like Night on the Range we're going to repeat, which was a lot of fun. I think that, to me, the big thing, and this is something that our committee is going to be discussing in February, is how can we get the community to view the golf course and the clubhouse as a community resource rather than just a golf resource. So we want to introduce new programs. Emily came up with some terrific ideas. And so we're looking at doing putting in Prosecco and pitching in Pinot and driving donuts and things like that, where we can get relatively new golfers to come in, and it's aimed a lot of women, but not necessarily. I mean, I come for a glass of Pinot and a lesson. To get more people playing, to get more people interested in golf, but we really want to look at ways we can get the community involved and use it as a resource. So the thought of having canasta and mahjong games set up there where people can come and do that has nothing to do with golf. It's just a nice environment. And if, you know, on a nice day, you sit out on a deck at the golf course, it's beautiful. And a great place, and you go in, you get a sandwich, you get something to drink. And it's an enjoyable day for people who do that. We want to try to expand more to the campus and get people using, you know, we've got this tremendous campus, which is fairly unique among park districts. And how can we get people who are at the pool, pickleball, tennis, and paddle, et cetera, coming over and having their lunch, sitting around, which is a great thing for the community and a great thing for the park district. So those are the things that we're really looking at for 2024. We want to expand on the programs that we've started. You know, golf has been booming, and a lot of it has to do, if you look at national trends, it's not only Lake Bluff where this is happening, but we think that'll continue with Golf Visions really backing the course, backing their partnership with the park district. And then work to get more people involved. So, you know, parents come and gonna pick their kids up at camp or whatever, so stop by and maybe one glass of wine, I don't know. But that, and that's what we wanted to use all these resources back to the next.
Could you put up the next slide, please, Jeff? I have to say, in one short year, the golf committee with the folks that you have on the golf committee have been tremendous because they have been so innovative and so inclusive, especially with younger golfers, with trying to get them interested in this and trying to make the golf course and the clubhouse your dining destination. I love. But having that night on the range and watching those kids playing the sand pits was terrific. So that we have more of those coming up, and the Bluffinia, and to staff who puts together, you know, the Bluffinia and staff said that and everything else, I think the couple of Bluffinia evenings out there was just terrific.
It was a good year.
It was a wonderful way to use, as you said, our full environment.
This looks great. Thank you for putting this together. Do you, for the introduction to golf, is that for kids or is that for adults?
7 to 14 is the kind of age range we're looking at, I think. I mean, Jim and I had talked about this, and they're flexible, you know, somewhat flexible with that.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, then
adult, we'd like to have more adult.
I think you might have some interest in some introduction to golf.
We'd like to have more adult
Adults.
courses. And,
Yeah.
you know, Emily's concept on the putting in Prosecco, for example,
Mhm.
was don't make it where you've got to do everything, you know, all the time. You want to practice putting, learn how to putt, that kind of.
It's sometimes I feel like some people don't do golf because it's overwhelming. You're like, oh,
Exactly,
I don't,
yeah.
so you break it up into smaller pieces and like, oh, I can do pitching, I can do driving. And I've talked, I mean, I'd asked friends what they thought, and they thought that was a good idea.
Yeah.
They felt like, yeah, it's just kind of hard to just go out there and play a round of 9 and not know what you're doing. So if you can teach the smaller skills, break it up, then I think people won't be as scared to go out there than hit the course. That's the thought process behind.
A lot of.
We're working with the Illinois PGA, the Illinois chapter of the PGA, to bring pros in for these programs.
Okay.
And again, one of the things we're gonna look at doing, and one of our committee members, Andrew Henkel, has been really instrumental in bringing those people in, the PGA people in to work with us. And I think they're really interested in doing it. It's a little bit of a hybrid type thing where you don't have your own pro at the golf course. So we've got to work out how we coordinate that and how we start up these programs. Golf Visions has said they're willing to let us do that.
Mhm. Well, they do offer the semi-privates. So some friends of mine and I did semi-private lessons last summer. We had a great time. So you just have to get on their calendar, you know? So maybe if people knew about that more, or I don't know if that's something we want to.
See, I think those group lessons or semi-private, you know, you get 5 or 8 people in a lesson, a great thing, great way to start out. But we're gonna be looking at all those things. Absolutely.
Right.
As far as growing the, is it possible to do like a golf to pool DoorDash? Like. Like the food vendor there, that'd be amazing. I think that would be huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
One of our John Paul is hell bent on working it out so that we can get an ad.
Yeah.
So that you're at the pool, you can go on the app, you can order your meal, your credit card is in the app.
Yes.
And then somehow we work out. I mean, I think if there's enough food going back and forth, someone should be able to come up with some high school kid who can run back and
For
forth.
sure.
Uh,
The golf cart attendants or something, somebody, and they'll be tips, so why they would want to do it.
Right.
You know? And then we work on the alcohol piece of it.
Honestly, I mean, even if we don't have the runners, people would probably just go pick it up too. They'd be
Well,
like,
that's-
all right, you know, like a couple of moms at the pool.
That's
you
what
know,
we're
be like, I'll just go
promoting
over and grab it, you know.
We like have the menu, you know, the golf course, their menu out of the pool. And then we've gone back and forth with golf visions. They don't want to tie somebody up sending the food here. Same for us. We're stretched pretty thin for staffing to commit to our staff to go pick it up. So we're trying to figure out who would do that.
John, you're not.
I do like the idea. Yes. And then I eat some of the food.
7 board members, 7 days a week.
There you
Oh,
We're working on it.
awesome. Awesome. I think that'd be huge. That's great. Thank you, Paul. All right, on to Parks and Beach. Nikki will discuss. Okay, so for better or for worse, a lot of the story of the beach this past summer was the North Shore Water Reclamation District project. We did a lot of work, helping to facilitate, what was going on down there. We hired Cindy Fletcher to help communicate to the community, what was going and when. And our, beach attendants and everyone had to, make sure people weren't going up and down the hill when the trucks were. We're gonna have more of that this summer. It looks like the project, I think, is still running on time. They're thinking Memorial Day-ish. Yes.
We're holding our breath, but they're working through this plaza plan and so that's. Stay tuned. We're a little bit concerned about the timing.
Okay, but last, we kind of heard officially, it sounded like, the sailing program might be able to go and, they would still be working on landscaping and some things, but the beach would, likely be able to be accessed and people could go down there.
Yeah, that was our, that has been their plan. They've also said they were delayed in starting, and now although they were allowed to work 6 days a week, all through the summer, including Saturdays and 10 or actually 12 hours a day, most of the summer as well. We thought they would, get caught up or maybe even ahead, but they're not moving that quickly. Part of the problem too, they had this, the plaza, which is a parking lot, that had to go separately to the village for approval, that they're working on the timing for that, because that's, for us to be able to open South Beach, we really need to have the parking lot and the roadway finished. The building work and the landscape, a lot of the other work can still be finished later, but we need that area to get safe access, and it's questionable right now whether they'll be done with that at the end of May. Unfortunately.
Bleaker news than I thought we had. Some better news, Dog Beach, we were able to reopen in 2023, partly because of the North Shore Water Reclamation Project. They gave us some sand, and maintenance was able to move the sand and do some cleanup on that beach so it could open. And then the Friends donated money to pay for the stairs that go down to the beach. So that's a much nicer entryway now than we had before to down there, and safer. Baseball field, to move away from the beach for a second, we learned the interesting history of all of the naming of all the baseball fields, some of which is, sad, but some interesting stories about some very, storied Lake Bluffians. The Lake Bluff Yacht Club, last I heard on this one, they were working on approvals still with the city for their permanent facility, but they're looking at having a temporary, possible, corral or something down there where, some storage that could be for our sailboats, their sailboats, and maybe some paddle boards would be available for this summer, but nothing, permanent that they'll have. Am I still right?
That's correct. And again, depends on the access, and if there is gonna be access, then there was definitely interest with the yacht club and doing some sort of fencing and kind of temporary compound just until they're able to build, their structure.
Yeah, which would be great. It would allow for a lot, a lot more activity for everybody down there. The church tent this past summer that the community church paid for to put up on the beach was worked out really well for them and for us. We were able to use it for some of the camps, and we had some rentals that came out of it as well. It didn't cost anything for us to have down there, and if the shelter will be open, if South Shelter will be open this summer, then we won't need that again. But it was.
Is the tent still in good condition if they need to use it again this year?
They took it down. It seemed like it was in good condition when it came down.
It was rented, not purchased.
Oh,
So,
Oh,
I didn't even know that. Okay.
yeah, so it went away at the end of the season.
Got it. So gone, unless it's needed, then they would bring it back.
Yes.
I thought they were permanently donated.
I thought they were too.
There was a discussion that they were gonna purchase the tents and then donate it to us afterwards, and then they went the route with just renting it because of insurance and everything.
I think it was insurance and storing it maybe.
Yeah.
As well.
And then lastly, the Lake Bluff West Park baseball field dedication. We voted at a meeting to name a field to honor Zach Porter. And so that we're really excited that, should be able to happen this spring or summer. We're waiting on the Lake Bluff Baseball Association. They have some field issues that they're working out. There's some drainage and other issues. And once those fields are up and running, we'll be able to set a date for that. And the fields can reopen. Thank you. Ellie, for facilities and program pilots.
All right, so we heard some of these earlier. I'll touch on the feature and then just add the benefits. So the first one, the return to pre-COVID hours. During COVID, we were Monday through Friday, 5 to 8, Saturday through Sunday, 7 to 4. And then staff was able to go back to Monday, Friday, 5 to 9, Saturday, 7 to 6. And Sunday, 7 to 5, which is 8 hours a week more added, which equals greater accessibility to the community. So that was awesome. The second item was the new student fitness membership. Mark mentioned it, the new annual monthly membership for students 13 to 21 years of age. at a fee of $30 for residents. Again, to bring more members and increase utilization, and it really targeted the underserved population of our community, the youth. Number 3, the towel service, which is exciting, as we're going to be talking about that tonight too. Bringing back the towel service that was after doing the fitness center survey. The results indicated the towel service was high priority by the members. And again, it enhances member experience and makes us more competitive, improving member retention. Number 4, the gym floor resurfacing extends the life of floors, but also increase functionality by adding permanent pickleball line. Number 5, expanded the open gym times. This one, it adds more accessibility to healthy activities for our community members during winter while not interfering with our programs. Another one of the highlights that I thought was really important, the open gym, we talked about that too. Number 6, the improved registration software. Jim talked about that. That was the app, and we're all excited about that because that'll help with improving communication, increasing program utilization, and driving up membership. Number 7, we applied for the OZI grant, which is known as the Open Space Land Acquisition and Development for life extending pool renovations. So this will allow us to compete more effectively with other districts for government funding, and we will share the progress in February, maybe, the results.
Yes.
Okay, and then number 8, it was 203,000 for the gymnasium center roof. There was a lot, of course, capital projects that were done at the facility. I chose this one because it was one of our larger ones. An example of an investment that the board and staff makes in preventative maintenance geared towards avoiding any unplanned disruptions of services. So those were the highlights. I think we did a lot for the Facility and Programs Committee, and Ann and Sue are on that committee. Anything else that?
I think it's great.
And so for the next, for next year, for this year, 2024, if you can change it, Jeff? Thanks. We have our work cut out. I feel like we have a lot always going on over here at the Facility and Programs. So we have the pickleball, and hopefully we'll be creating a strategy plan for the pickleball, just like we have for racket, and we also have for the Health and Fitness Center. So that's kind of one of our goals, hopefully with staff and the committee, we can come up with a good strategy plan. The pool, we talked about this. We're going to be discussing the short-term maintenance and again, the long-term goals. We've been talking about this for a couple years now. And it's kind of working with finance to come up with the best plan. We're going to be updating the fitness center strategy plan. We started reviewing that at the end of the year. Staff has been accomplishing some of the items that are on that strategy plan. We're just going to review it and just update it to make sure it's where it needs to be for 2024. Utilization of the multi-purpose gymnastics rooms. We did do a survey, staff did a survey for the gymnastics room, and it's been really successful with the gymnastics, but there is some open times. I believe it's Sunday, Monday.
I have to go back and look, yeah. I know Sunday is definitely one of the days.
Yeah, I think it was Sunday, Monday. No, it was Sunday, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and there was some open time. So just discussing that at the committee level to see if there's any options. And we talked about doing another survey with the health and fitness members and seeing if they were interested in like babysitting, or that was one of the things we mentioned, doing another survey to see if that was of interest. So just making sure we're utilizing all our rooms and maximizing their use. And the last one is reviewing alternate sources of revenue from sponsors and rentals. We have as a goal in the budget plan, I think it was 5,000 more for this year. Is that correct, Jim?
I don't know, I'd have to look.
So I think it was 5,000. So just kind of reviewing our sponsors and our rentals to see where we're at and see if we can see what we've received in the past and just kind of have a goal of, okay, so if we receive this, let's do a little bit more and have some growth there. So just reviewing all our sponsors and our rentals and making sure we're maximizing those opportunities. So, any questions? They've done a lot. Thank you, staff. And that's pretty much staff has done it all. So thank you. For all those efforts.
Thank you, Emily. And over to Ann as the Friends liaison, and you're also a trustee.
Yes. Okay, so, 2023 highlights, we have some great things up there on the screen. Two main fundraisers are the Color Run, which this year we had 239 participants. I was there that day. It was a beautiful sunny day. Jennifer, you were there.
Yeah.
Who else was there? Gorgeous day. Everybody had a great time. Tons of kids participating, throwing color everywhere. Just the usual, just great Park District event. And that raised $11,000 net for the Color Run. And Jazz and Jokes was a newer event for us this year. It replaced Sunrise Rocks. We had some lower attendance, but still we managed to raise about $7,000 net from Jazz and Jokes. So that's pretty great. And from both events, that's a combination of grants, sponsorships, and obviously like fee participation. So that was very good for that year. The other things that we did is we did the combined park board and friends board retreat towards the beginning of the year. So it may seem like a really long time ago. That was in 2023. I think that was viewed as success all the way around, as a chance for our two boards to come together and talk about how to really push forward and really start getting ready for the capital campaign project that we want to be doing in as we run up to the 100th anniversary of the Park District. So thank you again to everyone for making the time that Saturday morning to contribute, because that really has added a lot more context to some of the friends, members to visit, spend time with us on overall Park District goals. Other ways to raise money, the Sunrise Beach bricks, that's still a thing, and I have some numbers on the next slide to talk about that, but we're still raising money by selling bricks, which is pretty great, because that's been a couple of years. And then the slide also shows a couple of the things that we've done this year, which are indoor pickleball court or indoor pickleball nets and beach grills. So if you want to go to the next slide, can kind of look at the numbers. So just to break down, in 2023, by the numbers, 173 people donated to the Friends. As far as money going out, the largest sort of payment was the Lower North Beach stairs for around 27,000. Second largest was the second payment of the pickleball court for about 12,500. Other projects, again, the new indoor pickleball net, and then the new beach grills. I don't know if anybody had noticed, but the grills down at the beach were sort of rusting out and so forth. So they went and replaced all of those. They fund $1,000 preschool scholarship and new photos for the golf clubhouse. So they paid for like framing, I think, for some historical photos or something that we did just to kind of add to what's going on at the clubhouse. As far as one of the things I think was really great about 23 is I think the continued communication of John Hirsch and Jennifer and myself and John Beeler as to what, what we really need, from the Park District, sort of how they can, continue to respond to kind of what we're working on. So over the holidays, Jennifer and John and I met for a couple of hours and just kind of really hashed through what they had in each of their funds and talked through some ideas that we're going to run through committee first, then, bring to the board. But basically they have a lot of money, and their biggest pot right now is about 135,000 in the beach fund. So it's sort of what to do with that. Again, as far as inflows, the combined Color Run and Jazz and Jokes is about 18,000 net after expenses. We also did a letter writing campaign this year, just plain old letter writing campaign that ended up bringing in about 5,500. So that was excellent. Getting Tuesday effort, about 2,200 memorial gifts, 1,750 preschool bonfire, and just a great, as we were talking about before, just 3,200 from just a singular effort. I think was fantastic. And the bricks on the beach, the preschool bonfire brought in 1,500, bricks for the beach, another 3,200, and cross-country skiing. $150 donation for that. So in all, we raised about 32,000 this year. So again, the goal is to really continue to increase the variety of ways that we're raising funds, as well as focusing on the 100th anniversary. So we're pretty excited for the direction of the board and again, the new blood that we have and how we're going to be doing that. That's it.
I think one of my greatest takeaways from the retreat was, putting us in perspective with all the other non-for-profits in town and how much money is raised by, PTO or by, other agencies, and we do okay. I mean, people really like to donate to the park district, so it's a great thing. Yeah. And there's obviously a lot of work that's done by the friends in order to get that momentum going.
Any
All
questions?
good, thank you. Okay, thank you. All right, on to Sue, who is also vice president of Lobola, as well as our.
Yes,
Yes.
I should have won a butterfly. It was a good year this year. Just to recap, there are 3 preserves that Lobola supports for the park district, the Carolyn Getz Wetlands, the Belforet, which is adjacent to the golf course, and the ravine. And it's been a big year this year. I mean, obviously the Friends have other, Lobola has other preserves, but for these preserves, we have been working. We did get an $80,000 grant this year for the Carolyn Getz, so we're helping extend with the Friends. And that was really to, there's some before and after pictures, but to really extend the boardwalk so that it's walkable. So often it's underwater. So we got the grant for that and for a lot of plantings. There's a lot of plantings that happened. And that will continue. We weren't able to put the ramp in or the boardwalk in this fall because of Army Corps of Engineer questions, but that will be going in early 2024. In the Prairie Preserve, we've done some trail maintenance. We've put down chips again to keep, again, there's wet spots in all the preserves, so to make them walkable. And then removal of a lot of dreaded trees there this year. So that was the focus there. And then in the ravine, we've really been working with Cliff Miller, who did an updated management plan to tackle the ravine going forward. So a lot of this is for 2024. So there's been a lot of stuff that was done in 2023, the Getz being the biggest one, a lot of work done, and a lot of outreach. We've had several meetings with the residents. We had a Carolyn Getz celebration this fall. We were hoping to have the walkway done, but it wasn't, but we did it anyway. We had a lot of kids. Dana, you like some of the kids. We had like pictures. We probably had 35, 40 kids there. We did different events for the kids, different activities for them. They had a ball. So the highlights for 2024, more to come. The Lobola is looking at opportunities for a solstice, which is our major fundraiser, and they will be reaching out to Jennifer and John if they haven't already to talk about what could that solstice look like. Last year we were at the Crabtree Farm. That's not going to happen again. It's a wonderful event. So what are we going to do differently? And we're looking at maybe partnering with the golf course and doing not a tournament, something that sort of focuses. So we're trying to work with our partners to really bring in people to Lobola and also to Park District and others. So more to follow on that. It's very preliminary. So there's nothing been talked about or decided.
Golf balls that glow in the dark. I wanted to continue playing, like.
I don't know, the dark sky thing, I'm not sure. The Prairie Preserve, we just found out that we have received a grant for that, so we're going to be working and doing some work for that. And that will be working with the Audubon Society to really looking at a bird-friendly place. That's a big thing. You know you're doing a good job if you're bringing the whole ecosystem back into balance with the animals and the plants. And then the ravine will start with community outreach to the neighbors. And Lobola will be developing a work plan to actually what is going to get done, like in this time period and what part of the ravine, et cetera, as we move forward with that. And that's it.
When I took a trip out with Ben Miller some time ago, there was a red-tailed hawk that has taken up residence in the preserves right by the golf course. Still there?
I don't know. I haven't been there a couple months, so I don't know. They come and go. We were in the lake the other day and, we turned around and there was an eagle right there on the beach. Right, it was amazing.
At our beach.
On our beach. So we're seeing the birds come back. It's
Yeah.
kind of interesting.
So you said you three, and you mentioned like the prairie, but you guys do the beach too, right?
Oh, yes, it's,
Okay.
but that isn't really, it is a planting, it's not a preserve. The only thing we do on the beach is that one, raised bed.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we had another little one that pretty much got obliterated. The plan is to bring that back once the construction's done, but. So, we did do a burn on the beach, but I was just giving highlights.
Okay.
Thank you, thank you. All right, so we were able to do so much because we've had so much input from our community. It was fun because even Emily kept throwing more things at me. We did this survey, we did this survey too, which we kind of forget about throughout the course of the year. But we did community meetings on the pool, on pickleball. We send out a tri-board newsletter, to make sure that we keep engaged with the community. But the community responds back to us with a full survey, with the gymnastics room survey and the fitness survey. And obviously having a pickleball neighbor meeting as well. So that's important for us to be able to have that kind of engagement. Next slide, please. Scott alluded to this before, and I think the best thing about our park district is that we're able to pivot. We have projections for what we're looking for in the next year, the next 10 years, for work to be done in the park district. But as finances change, as things change, we move ahead, we position, we decide to reassess. And so looking forward with renovations to Sanctuary Park, to getting a golf course mower, obviously we do the fun industrial equipment purchases. Looking at a possible new playground at the beach, the West Paul Park improvements, a new beach cleaner. And the pool is always going to be uppermost on our minds because we have a pool that will be 51 years in this upcoming year. And opportunities as they arise and continuing for the pool as well as for the beach. Next slide, please. And then finally, it's been a joy to have fireworks at the golf course for the last couple of years, but that has been to celebrate the village and their continuing 125 plus 125 plus 2. We will be able to celebrate our 100 in 2025. And so we'll use 2024 as our year to help plan for that as well. So thank you, everybody, for participating in this. This is a good review of where we've been and what we'll be looking forward in the next year. I want to say thank you, everybody, from staff for being here tonight. You don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting. Well, obviously, Ben, you have to, you've got your thoughts. But thank you. But thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, people.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer.
One thing I just like to throw in, I sent an email, that one of the partners I forgot about, but for consideration is Lake Bluff Garden Club. They work with Dana
That's true.
for Arbor Day and also for the little garden and like decorating the Christmas tree. So
Yeah.
those are kind of joyous events for you.
They are. Thank you.
I just want to also just reiterate and just say thank you, Jennifer, for putting all this together. I mean, it really kind of puts it in perspective, the sort of services and amenities that the park district is able to offer to this community is really pretty incredible. I had a phone call last week from a prospective resident who's looking at purchasing a house on the ravine. And he had some questions about that, but they were potentially moving up here from Northbrook, although his wife had grown up in Lake Forest. And we were talking about, he was asking some questions about some of the different programs, youth golf programs and some of the different things. And he mentioned that the park district is one of the most important factors that they're looking at for reasons to move to Lake Bluff. So I thought that was really good to hear. And so, and again, that's kudos to the board for all the, the stewardship and the leadership in making decisions to, to allow staff to do our job and to, support these amenities, these programs for the community.
Well, I think this was a great program and we're available for Rotary Club meetings for newcomers. I mean, all of us together, plus all the staff would can do a road tour.
We'll take
Okay, so on to, as we said before, the fitness center with the washer, dryer and towel service.
Yes, let's see what page we have. So page 28 in the package here, since we have Mark here this late, we'll let Mark and Jim jump in and maybe a little bit of Ben, who's also been involved in this project.
Sure. So I kind of want to give a little background. So in 2023, at the end of that year, myself and Superintendent Mock came to the board because we wanted to bring back the hand towel service, as well as we wanted to get approval in the budget for a stackable washer and dryer. We figured that the old washer and dryer have had significant maintenance issues over the last quite a few years. And we knew the time was coming and it came last week. So last week, the washer actually went down and it's not repairable. So the parts, I don't think they're discontinued or, yeah. And the dryer as well went out. We did get it going, but it's also failed. And so now Ben Eller, maintenance manager, he approached this Equipment International and asked them for a quote for a stackable washer and dryer. He also asked for what we have already in there and what that cost would be, and then what would the cost be for two of them. And so what we found out was it was a little different than what was quoted from the past facility services manager. We were told that it was going to be about $24,500 for two stackables. When we found out that you could see in my memo that overall, with the cost savings of some equipment and small cap that we're purchasing, as well as if we purchase the two, because the freight will be less, the difference is $1,379 in total to purchase the second stackable washer and dryer from what was budgeted of the $12,500. So what staff is recommending is bringing back the full towel service, because we would need both stackables in order to do that, and approve the second washer and dryer. We've received some feedback. Mark, if you want to maybe give some feedback on the shower.
Yeah, so the hand towels have gone over extremely well. We still do have people reach out asking when the shower towels will be back. That's something we say we're looking into, but that is a comment that comes up.
So I got like a flying around over.
Would this additional stackable allow you to bring back towel service?
Yes,
Like a full towel service?
the full towel service. There are medium size in commercial grade washer dryer stackables. Currently, we've Ben, you want to give a report on did you guys dismantle the washer?
We started to dismantle the current washing machine. But I think what you're trying to say is, so the stackables have a 22-pound capacity per unit. So it'd be 22 pounds for washing and 22 pounds for drying. So 2 units would be 44 of each. Currently, our dryer is a 75-pound dryer and we have a 60-pound washing machine. So with the two, we'd be about 2/3 capacity of what we currently have. Which should be plenty. And then if needed, we can always, there's plenty of room to add a third stackable if needed in the future.
Our memberships are approximately 300 or about 250 less than what our maximum was. So we feel comfortable if we ended up having a full towel service with the 2 staff for right now. Currently, because we offered the hand towel service, we had to do something. We can't just stop the hand towel service. So staff went out and purchased just a residential type washer that we have up there, which we would need to replace the one that we have at maintenance anyway. It's an old one. So right now it's up in the fitness center, so we don't miss a beat with the hand towel service. But we won't be able to offer the shower towel service until we receive both commercial grade stackables. And it could take up to a month to 2 months.
And why would you need to? I'm trying to, there were a couple things discussed last year. I'm trying to understand, but how many loads are you doing of the hand towels? Like on a weekly basis or a daily basis?
So on a daily basis, we do anywhere between like 3 and 4 loads a day. And then you also have the cleaning towels, the smaller brown towels that we probably do at least 1 to 2 loads of those a day.
Okay.
So it'd just be probably too much if you had also the shower towels involved.
Get the other, remind me, seems to me we were talking about this. There was also, we kind of joked that the showers need renovation and no one's gonna take showers.
So that's
in
a
the
great
men's
question.
room, I believe, so are we jumping the gun?
No, so in the men's side, the women's side right now, they don't get it is used. So the women's side, it's not perfect. They do need to be remodeled. On the men's side, when you walk in the locker room, I would call it, you have 3 showers that are regular showers, and then you have the ADA. The ADA and the shower next to the ADA shower are in pretty good shape. The other 2 need some work. We've evaluated, we can do some things just to get it going on the remodeling for that would be inexpensive on those 2 showers. We do about 15 showers, is that what, a day?
Yeah, roughly 12 to 16.
There are 15 people a day using the showers, is that what you're saying?
As of right now, yeah.
And then-
Those are people bringing in their own towels, you know, again. The price difference, if we were to just order a stackable and then had to do it all over again, you're gonna pay the additional freight and you're gonna pay for them to install. So that will be more money than the $13.79 that we're spending extra on the stackables.
With this towel service, what kind of personnel is needed to manage this?
At least 1 fitness associate. if
Does
they
that mean
want to
we'll
do
be
that.
adding an FTE?
Sorry, say that again?
We'll be adding an FTE to do it?
No, it'd be the existing employee upstairs, fitness desk.
Next.
I think it's great. I think it adds to the utilization again, because then if you have towels, then people are going to use the showers. It's hard for people to use the showers if they don't have their towels. It makes it easier. Again, you're utilizing and maximizing the facility by using those showers. That's more space. We're doing what we're supposed to do, which is maximizing utilization. So I think it's great. I know we talked about at the committee level bringing it back, so thank you for bringing it back to discuss at this meeting. Again, I think it makes the experience better for the member. And you might get more people, you might get some of the teachers, if they can shower here, make it easier. You know, it just makes it a better experience for the guest. So.
Okay, so staff's recommendation then is to bring in the full tower service and approve the proposal from Equipment International in the amount of 16,040. That's your recommendation for today? Okay. Can I have a motion with that regard?
So moved.
Second. And Marcia, who's out there? Yes. Thank you.
I am.
Roll- You are? Okay, roll that please.
Commissioner Greenfield,
Yes.
Commissioner Lane,
Yes.
Commissioner Raymore,
Yes.
Commissioner Reader,
Yes.
Commissioner Walsh,
Yes.
Commissioner Weber,
Yes.
President Beeler.
Yes.
Next, we have,
I'm sorry, just so you know, we will order these tomorrow, so the plan is to get these in as soon as possible.
excellent. Next, we have the North Shore Water Reclamation Basin Project update. Further from what we've already talked about.
Yes, we did. Don't really have much of an update. They said that they would provide an update on the timing in January, which we've not yet received. So I will continue to pursue that. Otherwise, they are still working, so we're following the access road, and trying to keep it open. And that's really about all I have, which isn't much for an update. I will.
They must have missed some days when it was so cold.
Yes.
I mean, they could work.
I think they were trucking this weekend. They were down there and there were cement trucks today. So they're back to it, but.
Yeah, I knew that down in the hole. But yeah, there were some of the days with snow and some of the weather where they stopped working or they were working with. I know I checked with them the one day and it was only one or two of them down there working, so it wasn't truck back and forth, so.
So have we started a conversation with them yet about compensation for going past the proposed deadline?
I reached out to them in December, claiming that, letting them know that we're planning programs, it's, our budget, what we're budgeting for revenue, whether the shelter would be available for rental, the sale camp would be coming back, staffing levels that we would need. And so that's, when they came back with, they were presenting, they had to have it approved, this plan for the plaza approved by the North Shore Water Reclamation Board in December, which I guess was, and then they're working with the village, and they're supposed to be coming back to us with a better idea of the timing. What the contractor thinks the timing would be after it's all approved in January, which I haven't received that, but I've mentioned those things. I didn't really specifically start talking to them about compensation for lost revenue or programming.
Have we started thinking about what might be appropriate to ask for to start negotiations?
Well, we know what our sale camp brings in a typical summer and how much we make on that south shelter rentals and things of that nature. So, we could put that together.
And who will be part of that? Will be you and Jennifer both that will talk with them, or would it be mainly you?
I think if we get to that point, any of the board members, I think Commissioner Weber knows somebody on that board who might be able to be helpful in the process, or Jennifer, anybody that would, that might be interested in being involved as well.
I mean, I'm interested in the opinions of the other commissioners, but I do think we should start organizing our thoughts around how, what we're going to ask for and how we'll start negotiating with them if they do run through the summer, and how that will impact our district.
Yeah, I think that's a very good, conversation to start with.
One of the things that sticks in my mind, I think, John, you had said at one of the earlier board meetings that sort of the timeline we were given was based on getting to pour by October. Well, they're still pouring and it's almost February. So that to me, I don't know how you make up 3 months. And I think we need to sit down and have a serious conversation. If they told you pour by October, we're good in June, how are we gonna get to our next sailing season, I guess, that kind of push them on that, because we're way behind when it comes to what they told us had to happen.
And I think what John had said too, that's one of the more difficult aspects of it, is that there's not that disclosure of where they are timing. John really has had to continually knock on the door to say, we need your current plan. We need your current plan. Where are you right now?
Where is the village on that? Are they not supportive of getting that plan? Do they not care?
I don't.
It's not their beach.
I know it's not, but it's their traffic. I mean, there's been a
It's
lot
their
of
traffic.
complaints about traffic though too.
The problem is we're not in a great negotiating position because
know we
we have
don't.
no legal.
You would hope that the
Status.
village would step up and help us get that information, but.
We'll keep circling with, Drew and Regis and see if we can put a little coercion that way. It's important.
Residents too.
But agreed though.
Yeah.
I mean, it was supposed to come in January, we're 2/3 of the way through the month and they still haven't sent it. So.
Well, that and, you know, what's the plan for kids that want to sail? You know, are we prepared to start redirecting
Yeah.
residents to other programs?
Yeah, and
You
we
know, like we
we
did
have,
last year.
we would continue, we would do that again if needed. It's, you know, it's unfortunate, I think going a couple of years. It's just, it's not good for the program when they find other, you know, you don't get all of them back. They find, they're going to like Forest for a similar program and they like that instructor or whatever they may. It's a very unique program and it is very popular. I do believe it will come back when we're able to do it, but we may lose some, you know, some students, some revenue.
Jim, when does summer sign up start for Camp Snow?
Roughly like the end of the first week of March.
So first week in March.
Yeah.
So we need to have something by the February board meeting.
Mhm.
'Cause if we let it go to March, well, the writing's gonna be on the wall and then there's really nothing we can do with that. So we need an answer and, you know, like you said, start a roadmap. About how the heck we're gonna, you know, fulfill demand that we're not gonna be able to provide,
Yeah.
right?
We started to kind of talk even at the staff level about the what ifs. What if we can't get in until July 1 instead of June 1, you know? Can we still add, you know, can we offer a session? You know, and some of those, you know, contingency plans. So we're working on that, but we do need to get more information.
Well, it becomes an HR issue too, if you tell a kid, yeah, we'll hire you for only half the summer.
Well, and the
Not
other
the-
time, the other thing is the timing. If they're gonna get the certification, is that February or March?
They offer, I have to look online, but Milwaukee and Chicago are two of the sites where we have to train get the manager to get their certification. And that happens usually over spring break or the very beginning of the summer before our camps start. Which could be a challenge, and that's the challenge is losing staff. That's what happened to all these park districts with their lifeguard shortage. They missed a year, they had a gap year. And when they had that gap year, they lost some of those managers.
Well,
You know, the church may not be so happy that they rented the tent.
Yeah.
Had they known that they were gonna use it for 2 years,
2 summers.
might have.
Yeah. Jen and I then can look, we'll talk to Urban and to Charlotte and see if can be an ask and possibly, you know, we need to write a letter. To say we need this information, if we need something defined as to the 2024 schedule.
Well, and then, you know, more so, I mean, it doesn't hurt to ask or try and negotiate, right? So I get the impression that I'm looking at a letter now that the Lake Bluff Yacht Club sent out on January 11th.
Yeah.
And I don't have time to read it all the way through, and I won't waste time in the meeting doing that, but everybody should look at that letter, because I got the impression that they were trying to negotiate things. Right, so I think we should be doing the same thing. You know, knowing that we'll have a shortage of revenue, knowing that our residents will miss another whole summer at that South Beach, people really care about that. So, so I'd like for us to shore up our plan ASAP as to how we're going to approach. To Scott's point, we have to make a decision by the end of February, really, as to how we're going to approach it and start talking with them and let them see what else we can get possibly, you know, in addition to bathrooms and whatever else they're going to do.
And do they understand, like, we need the parking lot and the access road, you know, like, do they understand our needs, you know, so they.
That was
you
what
know,
I conveyed to them in December.
Okay.
We have to have the access road and the
Right, like,
parking
we don't
lot.
care what else you're doing, just stand
Yeah.
away while we're lying on the beach.
The other area that where the, you know, yacht club compound was, you know, that can be just leveled, you know, even if that's not finished graded, that can be leveled if it's, you know, we can even put up temporary fencing if we could bring back even just the boats that we use for our program, boats for the racers, the safety boats.
Yeah.
Maybe paddles, you know, some of the paddle boards, but, so that's what I conveyed to them in December. That's what we need to be able to provide safe access, to reopen that area.
But I do agree with, and I think we need written documentation on this. You know, it's one thing to call them, but it's deniability. But if you've got it in writing, it's a lot harder, and I think we need to start pushing that. If we haven't already.
Well, and again, part of the problem though, as I understand it, is that permissions, licenses, et cetera, from the village have not been forthcoming. So you can't even look necessarily at North Shore Water Reclamation.
Well, we're a little bit.
Where do you go to get your compensation?
Well, it sounds like what they're waiting for, what they need the permission for is the plaza.
Yeah, we were a little bit surprised that that wasn't actually part of the original project, why it's being done a year later, you know, the plan and the timing for that.
I mean,
So
how long
those
does
are-
it take to approve that?
Right, I mean, this is where I'd love for us not to be surprised anymore.
What is,
You know, I'd love for us to be in front of the information so we can, you know, again, really strategize and plan for summer and see what we can get, you know,
Yeah.
kind of get out in front of it a little bit more.
Sorry, I just kind of heard something, I need to ask a question. Is the plaza going to delay the completion of this and the reopening of this, or is it the project?
Potentially.
Yes.
That's what we were being told, and
Well, is there a world in which that gets done at a later date? If this is simply like, hey, let's make it look pretty, like, well, do we want it pretty to lose a year, or do we want it to be open and have it done completed at a later date?
I mean, it's the parking lot itself, which is going over the reservoir, over a large section of the reservoir.
Yeah.
And I told them, we don't need bathrooms, we don't need landscaping, we don't, but we have to have parking lot and the access road to be able to safely reopen.
And what was their response?
Well, we're going, yeah, we're gonna talk to the village and we'll let you know in January, about the timing after we talk to the contractor.
So then we have a follow-up, right?
Yeah, but I
No,
think Sue is right, it should be on paper. should be
Yeah.
Written follow.
Yeah, and usually with those, when I emailed in December, I include Drew and Jeff Hansen from the village and Steve, the operating engineer from North Shore, and the contractors, so that, you know, everybody is seeing this and we're responding in these emails, so at least we have that in mind.
Is it reasonable to ask Drew to give us a sort of a walk it backwards to say what kind of approvals are needed and what's the timeline to get that done? Because he may tell us there's no way it's going to be approved before May, no way. I mean, I'm not saying he's going to, but maybe he can give us a timeline for the walkthrough, the time that it's going to take to get whatever approvals they still need.
I could ask them for that. I know that when they were trying to approve this initially, they were pointing fingers at each other. The
Yeah, I know. So I was.
village was saying that they're not providing all the information needed for the traffic plan and other things that delayed the start of the project, and they're saying the village is.
But even just looking at the village process, if, I know they have to bring it to the zoning board, and then it has to go, there has to be 2 readings in the village. So right there, you're looking at probably 6 weeks. So, to just get an idea of what's the feasibility of even getting this done.
And please correct me if I'm not right on this, John, but I thought that it was North Shore Water Reclamation who had to approve the plaza project, but the village had already agreed on the concept?
I think they agreed on the concept, but I don't know if
The
that's,
specifics.
if that's, yeah,
So
right,
it may,
that
it may
includes all the
bleed into
permits.
what you're talking about that too. but- The process, okay.
so let's dig all this land up and then get approval later. Put it back together.
Yeah. Well, could we maybe make this an agenda item for the committee of the whole meeting, so we can follow up?
Yeah.
ASAP on this, instead of waiting for the next board meeting?
Yep.
With like all the information, all the questions answered that we can.
And if you think of any additional questions or points you want brought up, then just email me. and we'll put them together.
We have them attend maybe.
We can.
I mean, could we get down to, this was promised, we're gonna start charging you a per day, based on, our, loss.
Yeah, I went back. and
So
looked at
we don't, yeah, we don't have any leverage
I don't have the teeth.
that the village does, and the village. We did ask them if they were gonna do anything like that, because I know sometimes they'll do a fine of $1,000 per day if they're not finished or things like that, but the village didn't, in this case, didn't think it was gonna be in the best interest, so.
Best interest of whom?
Getting the job done. I mean, to see the project done, I think it's gonna be an improvement, which it is. To the beach and to the community, but, and to their facility and operation, but. They didn't think the threat of the fine was gonna help that process.
So there's none,
I think we've known that,
right? So there's.
which is a mistake.
Okay, we'll put that on the committee of the whole and we'll take action.
Thank you.
And that also dovetails into the Lake Bluff Yacht Club information as well, that their ability to facilitate anything with having anything down there is all dependent on where we are with this. It's nice to hear that they could do something, possibly if they have a temporary facility, but this will all depend on whether there's accessibility because of what construction is going to be like.
Yes, Jim and I met with, the Commodore, Gretchen. And, in late December, so we did talk about, the possibilities and, potential timing depending on what happens and how it progresses. They're eager to work with us and try to bring back whatever they can, for the summer, so. It might help to have different groups trying to apply some pressure and.
Was that letter to the village?
It was a letter to all members of the yacht club.
Okay. It seemed to me that they're the partners of the village on this. I mean, we're completely different.
I can read this paragraph. Where it says, where do things stand financially based on detailed estimates by professionals in the construction industry? We believe the amount to rebuild what we had in today's dollars is about $222,000. We continue efforts to collaborate with the North Shore Water Reclamation District to be made whole, to be compensated to rebuild the boathouse as it stood before using today's pricing. Currently, there is no gap between the water district's numbers of 111,000 and our figures. We look forward to working with them on how we can creatively work together to bridge the difference. We're grateful to the village of Lake Bluff for their support as we look ahead to additional discussions with the Water Reclamation District. They're working on.
Got a huge gap.
But they need approval too from the village.
They will.
Oh, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
even if we open in June, they could put something together. I mean, the yacht club built their compound last time. But
Yeah.
in terms of getting a blueprint architect, a whole different, like, but I would think they would be going to the village to ask them.
Problem is, the village doesn't lose on any of these things. You can say, people complain about the traffic. So what? At the end of the day, it's not that big a deal that there are some trucks going down the streets.
Unless the residents try to complain.
But the village doesn't lose its beach, doesn't lose its yacht club.
No. You kind of look and say.
And yet they control. Take your time.
Okay, there are no, community comments? Anything from anybody online, Jeff? No? Okay, and no correspondence that's been tendered as part of the packet for this evening. Again, I want to thank all the board members for participating tonight. It was really helpful and educational and edifying. So, motion to adjourn. So moved. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. Thank you.